Welcome back to the Radio Caroline YouTube channel. Josh Holmes-Bright here, joined today by a man whose latest single we're featuring at the moment, and his brand new album is out as of this week. It's Frank Turner. Hi, Frank. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Thank you for asking. It's good to chat to you. Obviously, we're going to talk about some of the new stuff you've got going on. But first of all, we've spoken about possibly doing something a bit later on this year. But you're fairly familiar with our ship, the Ross Revenge, aren't you? You sail past now and
I
again.
I do. I mean, I get sailed past. It might be a better way of putting it. My skill
Right.
with a boat could be described as non-existent, but it's very nice when someone else is doing the hard work. But yes, I'm on the Blackwater estuary these days myself, so we're local.
Absolutely. Excellent. Brilliant. Well, hopefully we'll get you out there at some point. But yeah, as I say, we want to talk about all this incredible new stuff that you've got going on. We were just talking before I hit record about, I mean, you've got a packed schedule, mainly because of the new album, Undefeated, which is out now, not at the time of recording, but at the time of the interview going out. It's your 10th album, is that right? 10th
Yes,
solo album?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's incredible. So after 10, what makes this one so special? Why does this stand out among the rest?
Good question. And I mean, I'm sort of professionally bound to say it's definitely my best records. Yeah,
Of
unquestionably.
course. Yeah.
I mean, if I wasn't saying that, I'd still be in the studio making the damn thing. No, I mean, I'm proud of it. I've been doing this for a while. I like to think that that means that I've had some practice at writing songs and
Of
making records
course.
and all the rest. At the same time, I try quite hard to check myself that I'm not just making records because that's what I do. And it's sort of, oh, it's probably time to make a record. I don't do it that way. It's like, do I have something new to say? Is it worth me making a record? And I do feel like that. And the fact that I feel like that is sort of, I feel proud on some levels, I mean, 10 albums is a rare thing. I feel proud of that. I feel privileged to be able to do that. And I guess most of all, I just feel kind of like surprised, like in a nice way. I feel a
Yeah.
bit like Wile E. Coyote when he runs off the cliff and he keeps going through the air until he looks down. And I feel like I ran off the cliff about 5 albums ago, and I haven't looked down yet, and I'm still going. And that seems mad to me, but in a way that I'm very grateful for.
Absolutely. It's an incredible achievement, and I know that all of your fans, and myself included, are going to enjoy the new release, listening at home. But when it comes to performing the new stuff live, I imagine we'll get some of the new records on the upcoming tour. What do you how do you make what do you make of the audience's interaction with the newer music?
Well, it's always there's always a bit of a moment. There's a fair amount of kind of nervousness about putting a new record into the world. It's like, does anyone still care? I mean, we put the UK tour on sale and it sold out in a weekend. So yes, might be one answer to that. And
Yeah,
you've agreed to talk to me today, so that's a second yes. So happy days. But in terms of playing the new stuff live, there is always you find out about songs. I mean, I have some predictions, should we say, for which songs will land with who and all the rest. But in some ways, that's part of the fun, and there's always some surprises. There's some songs on every record I've done where I'm like, I don't know how this is going to land. And then you play them live and everyone goes crazy. And that's a wonderful thing. I mean, sometimes it works the other way as well. You're like, everyone's going to love this one. And then it doesn't happen. So I
sure.
guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will go down well. As you say, selling out the whole tour in one weekend is quite impressive. But as well as the tour, you also announced gig number 3,000. You kind of
That's
keep track of how many gigs you've done. I mean, that's an incredible number in the first place. And I suppose it's a fairly similar question to about the new music as well. But after 3,000 gigs, does it still feel as special? And do you still feel the same kind of interaction with the crowd?
I do, and I feel really lucky for that as well. I mean, 3,000 is a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
I beat Metallica a while back. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
they've been
wow.
going since I was a toddler. So happy days. But it's in some ways it's just a number rolling over. There's no inherent reason why show 3,000 will be better than show 2,999. But having said that, of course, it's an excuse for a big party, so that's what we're going to do. And I love Ali Pali as a venue, and we're
Yeah.
going to have lots of friends coming down to hang out. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. Did my first tour when I was 16 years old, and I've been touring pretty constantly since then. And this is my life, and this is what I do. It's my living as well, and all the rest. But all of that aside, I love playing shows just as much now as I did in 1998, and I feel so lucky with that, And some people don't have the luck to do it as long as I've done it, and some people fall out of love with it, and both of those are what they are. But like, the fact that it's the one thing I know how to do. I don't really know how to do anything else.
Right. Okay.
So, but every day it's like, oh my God, I get to play guitar for a living. That's mad. Do you know what I mean? I do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's lovely. That's nice. And from all of these gigs, I mean, it's not quite hit 3,000 yet, but from the 3,000 or so gigs, you've gone from some of the more intimate, smaller venues to, I mean, I saw you playing Hyde Park last year, supporting Bruce
Right.
Springsteen. Is there a preference with the kind of smaller, intimate gigs, or playing these crowds of, I don't know what it is, 50, 60,000?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is it's nice to not have to choose. You know what I mean? And
Right.
indeed, you know, to have playing to the larger crowds on my list of options is a lovely thing. I mean, playing in smaller venues is always very close to my heart. I grew up going to smaller venues. I grew up in Hampshire, going to the Joiners Arms and the Railway Inn, and I go to gigs in small venues. Three Eyes Monkeys and Coda and Colchester are regular haunts for me,
Yeah.
and so that whole world of the kind of 200-ish people at a show, sticky floor, all the cliches, that's sort of where my heart lies. It's where my social life is. It's my culture and all of the rest of it. And it's kind of the punk rock answer is to say that I prefer playing the smaller shows. I think that it would be a kind of pretty obvious lie to say that it isn't awesome to walk out in front of 10,000 people who care
Of
who you are.
course.
I
Yeah.
mean, there is a physicality to multiple thousands of people going nuts, which is amazing. It's better than any drugs I ever did in my life, so which is a relief.
There you go. There you go. Is there a particular highlight as well from across the years? I mean, I'm sure you've had some incredible moments and played with some great people,
Yeah,
but is there one moment that stands out above all?
it's it's difficult to pick just one because there's been so many, and sometimes it feels like my standard for it is quite short term in the sense that like my favorite show I played recently was in Garwood, New Jersey. I just
Oh,
had a
wow.
really cool show in Garwood, New Jersey. I'm not going to tell you it's the best show I've ever played in my life, but it was a really nice evening. And there's been some weird ones. I mean, I've played some very strange places over the years. Probably the weirdest one was the opening act for a Sierra Leonean rap battle at a show that was on some crates in the corner of a car wash by the side of
Oh,
the
right.
freeway
Okay.
in Freetown, Sierra Leone. That was very odd. There's a long story behind that, which I'll tell you another time. But I mean, this is going to sound like a bit of a dodge of an answer. The best part is that I'm still getting to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. And I just, yeah, again, I feel grateful every day.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And I don't know if they're going to count as part of these 3,000 gigs, but this coming weekend, actually, the time that this interview will be going out, I think you'll be halfway through it. You've got you're trying to set the world record for the most gigs in different cities in 24 hours. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, and they will count. And one of the reasons I'm doing it is to get my numbers up for show 3000. Not the main reason,
Right.
but
Okay.
it doesn't hurt. Yeah, I mean, as people listen to this, as this goes out, I'll probably be sat in the back of a car cursing everybody I can think of. My crew have been very assiduous in reminding me that this was my idea, and therefore I don't get to blame anybody else for this.
Right. Okay.
It's a challenge. Let's be honest, it's a hook to hang an album promotion off, and that's cool. But there's also a degree of community building to it because every show is an independent music venue that's sponsored by the Music Venue Trust, and every show is being ticketed by a local independent record store. And not quite all of them, but most of them, we've got local unsigned artists opening the show as well. And, there's just hopefully all of that raises awareness, brings people together, indicates to the world what my value system is, all this kind of stuff. So I am, as I talk to you now, looking forward to it. As people listen to this, I'm probably going to be suffering, but it's my fault.
Of course, yeah. If you can only blame yourself, then yeah, you can't complain, can you? But is there kind of a game plan set out for the whole day? Do you obviously you know what times you're meant to be at the venues and all that, but
Yeah.
what are you doing in between, and how's it going to work? I suppose.
Well, so my crew are amazing, and they've put together the logistics for the run. And we've got a cab company called Free Now who've been amazing, and they've organised the transport. Actually, slightly weirdly, apparently they've put my face on a cab,
Oh, okay,
which is going to
nice.
drive me around. That's odd, but cool and flattering and all the rest. It's quite tightly organised. There is some kind of error margin bits here and there and that kind of thing. In terms of my own sort of preparation for it, to be 100% honest, I haven't really been thinking about it until the last week or so, when everybody's been asking me why on earth I'm doing it and how I'm going to survive. And suddenly the enormity of the challenge is sort of becoming clear to me. And it's just like, oh, yeah, why am I doing this again? But I mean, it'll be fun. I'll get a lot done in 24 hours.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure it'll go really well. And as this is going out, we'll send you the very best of wishes. Do you know who holds the record at the moment? Is there an official record for it currently?
There is an official record. I really should have looked this up. It's an American country singer has the record. He did 10
Oh, okay.
cities in New England in 24 hours. But I'm told that he did it with a helicopter,
All right. Okay.
which strikes me as cheating.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I'm,
so.
and I'm doing 15 anyway. So, ha!
Excellent. No, I'm sure it'll go well. It sounds good. I mean, going kind of a bit further back now, we've kind of gone through what's happening at the moment, and there's lots of stuff coming up. Right at the start, is there anyone in particular who kind of influenced you to not necessarily do stuff like as many gigs as possible in 24 hours, but just to be a musician? Who's kind of those early influences on you?
Yeah, I mean, I fell in love with metal first. Iron Maiden were my first love, and they'll be my last.
Right.
I grew up in the '90s, so Nirvana were huge at the time, which was great. And Kurt Cobain used to talk about punk in interviews quite a lot, and that made me wonder what that word meant. So I went out and bought albums by the Sex Pistols and the Clash, and then Green Day and the Offspring, and then suddenly it was Black Flag, and Black Flag were a huge thing for me. There was a moment in my life in my early 20s when I kind of discovered stuff like Neil Young and Bruce Springsteen and Townes Van Zandt, and more, I guess, songwriting.
Sure.
And there's a book called Get in the Van, which is Henry Rollins' tour diaries of the years when he was the singer in Black Flag, and they toured harder than any band ever. And I used to read that like it was an instruction manual when I was younger.
Right.
Whether or not I've equaled their mania at this point, maybe actually I've not really thought about that before, but getting there. But yeah, there's a lot of people I look up to.
Excellent. Well, everyone's got to have these kind of heroes that get them to where they are, and I think you're in a pretty cool position now, especially with all the stuff you've got going on even in just the coming weeks, even today. So I know you've got a very busy schedule, so we'll let you get on with that. But thank you for the time. I hope it all goes well, and hopefully, since you're fairly nearby to the ship, we'll get you out a bit later on in the year.
You know
Maybe
what?
do the most intimate gig yet.
Yeah, that would be lovely. If you send a rib my way, then pick me up. I'll come on over. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, thank you. Best of luck with it all.